any idea you start out with, you have to realize you have to like be very aware of your ecosystem of like value, right?
Hmm.
Um, and even if the idea makes sense, there's probably going to be a bunch of different challenges in your value chain, and you'll have to think about like how much exposure do you want to have to that challenge, and what that translates into is you know as a company decides to as you decide to solve a problem, think about the value chain of think of the value chain of the problem, right? So
Hmm.
um, if it's not available, if that part of the value chain is not available, like how amenable are you to like actually building that part? So for example, we talked about, a parallel score, we talked about hiring, right? Like the way that we hire is different. We had to invest time and money into figuring out the effective way to hire.
Hmm.
Um, where in other markets it might have been easier to hire people, but we're better off for it, but we had to invest money into it. There are definitely a lot of businesses that that will find themselves in markets like Nigeria, Ghana, etc. That where they've got a good problem. The problem is a huge market opportunity, but from an early stage perspective, they're going to have to build a lot of the infrastructure themselves, and they're going to have to be comfortable with that. So assess that before you start to think about like the problem, the opportunity that you're working on. The
Hmm.
second thing I would also recommend is that um, this is, I mean, once again, this is like you take with a grain of salt, but I think there's value in building, not just building for like a specific country or a specific region in Nigeria or Ghana or Sierra Leone, wherever you're building from, but thinking global. Um, One of the challenges with markets that have with economies that have of like variance in like market in forex, in stability, things like that, you have to hedge your bets, and the best way to hedge your bets is to diversify your market exposure.
Yeah.
um I think one really good is with parallel score is that we decided, while we definitely we want to operate in Nigeria in terms of having clients in Nigeria, but a majority of our clients are actually not in Nigeria.
Hmm.
That decreases our forex exposure. That decreases some of like the regulatory and the client exposure the challenges that we would have. And if we were to go after more clients in Nigeria, we would probably have the cushion of consistent revenue coming from clients from other parts of the world.
Hmm.
So it, you also, as you're kind of building your business as an entrepreneur, you want to think about how to kind of diversify a little bit more, just because of like the high variance and high um, not the high variance, but the high kind of inconsistent environments, inconsistent environments that we will face.
Hmm.
Um, what's another one? Um, yeah, I think another thing too is be very you're there's always going to be a time where you're just going to have to do the work, right? There is the glamorous, kind of the glamorous kind of perception of the entrepreneur that has it all figured out, and has people to do things for them, and kind of just like goes and sells things. Like that's that sounds cool, but the reality is that early on in your business you're going to have to go see, you're going to have to go to wherever you're setting up your business. You're going to have to work with people. You're going to have to set things up. You're going to have to do the work to better understand how things work within your market and with your clients. And there's no way you can't hire out of that. And if you do hire out of that, you're probably putting yourself in a bad position in the long term. It's you have to understand the pain that your employees are going to go through, or the challenges that they'll go through, or the other stakeholders go through. So I think another thing would be, kind of focusing on doing the actual work before you hire.